What's up, everybody? It's the Roundtable Sports Podcast. Today, we're taking a look at the top 50 plays from Taysom Hill in the 2020 season. It's a big year for Taysom Hill and the New Orleans Saints alike. With Drew Brees retiring, Taysom has a chance to step in and become an NFL starter, which, of course, means there's a lot of money on the line for him and Jameis Winston alike. I think they're going to give them both a chance to compete. It was interesting that they gave Taysom the preview when Drew Brees got hurt with his rib injury and allowed Taysom to start over Jameis, even though they brought Jameis in for Drew Brees during the game. So I was interested to see how Taysom Hill was going to look in his sneak preview, and of course whether or not he's going to end up winning the job for the New Orleans Saints in the offseason. When you take a look at the highlights, clearly nobody has quite the diversity in how his highlights look like Taysom Hill. I mean, there's hardly anybody that has a couple of receptions, different runs from the quarterback position, and then is also throwing touchdown passes. So you're going to see a lot of diversity in the things that he can do. And it seems like unless Jameis is the starter, Taysom's days as a gadget player could be numbered, and he did run a little differently as a gadget player versus as a starter. He puts his head down a little bit more when he's not counted on to be the quarterback. I think they pounded into his head a little bit that he doesn't need to take on unnecessary contact, and he used to do that a little bit more when he is the gadget guy. That's part of the allure, is that he does run people over and put his head down and run with power. He is somewhat fast as well, but as you can see, the speed isn't overwhelming. It's the fact that he runs with a certain amount of power that goes with it. And that running ability is real, and it is very effective, especially in the red zone. It's hard to cover somebody that can run the ball in like he can, as well as have the option to throw. It just creates problems for the defense, and then they pick their poison, and that's usually wrong, or he just runs it in just like that. They had allowed Taysom to throw some passes in the past, but really it was more his running when Drew Brees was there and they were using him more as a gadget player. You notice when you see him stretch his legs in this portion of it, as far as his passing goes, that it is effective and that he is a little bit more accurate than you might think with his arm. He isn't, Drew Brees level accurate by any means, and I think he still has a lot of development to go as a passer, but I got to admit, the way they had not allowed him to throw the ball for some time, I had a bunch of questions about his accuracy and just what the throwing motion was actually going to look like, and on all accounts, including the power in which he throws the ball, I was pleasantly surprised by all of those things, and if you can put them together on a good, maybe not great, but on a good scale and have all of them, then you can be a successful passer in the NFL, especially when you possess speed like this and the ability to run the ball and get out of the pocket. Certainly it's going to take a little bit more time for him to develop to be a complete quarterback, but I like this offense a lot. I like the weapons that they have. They invest in the offensive line and protecting the quarterback, and they're going to have a lower number on Taysom than some of the other starters in the NFL if they decide to go that route. So it could be a recipe for success if he's able to put all the different things together as a quarterback that you need to have. I liked the sneak preview. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by the way he was throwing the ball. I wish he would run with a little bit more authority, but he was, trying to preserve himself to be there for the quarterback when he wasn't the gadget player. It's just that I love that running style so much when he is the gadget player. If you could marry those two things together somehow, I think that would be really scary for the rest of the league. And, if he is the starter, I think he's going to be a fantasy starter as well, because he is so dangerous in the red zone. And the Saints do have so much talent in Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, etc. I mean, there's a lot to like about what the weapons can really bring to the offense. Now, there is one thing that I want them to change, regardless if Taysom wins the battle or if Jameis wins the battle. It kind of has felt like They have been forcing other quarterbacks that come in for Drew Brees to try and be exactly like Drew Brees. And while Taysom did an admirable job, no doubt, I think there's other things that they can do to really maximize his skills. First of all, as you can see right there, he has more arm than Drew Brees has and can throw the ball further down the field. And Jameis has even more arm than that. So either way, I want to see the Saints push the ball down the field more, and I want to see that open things up for Alvin Kamara underneath, because I think that's going to lead to success for the Saints offense overall. I just hope they don't try to shoehorn Taysom Hill into throwing a whole bunch of accurate short passes, because that's just not what his game is at this point. Like I said, I'm impressed by the accuracy, but it's just not a Drew Brees level. Even Teddy Bridgewater last year, when they tried to put him in there, they tried to make him do too many of the Drew Brees things instead of unleashing it a little bit more downfield. And I'm just hoping that they can break out of that and really design the offense either completely around Taysom or Jameis. But I think it's going to be Taysom. I think they have really telegraphed this, and I think they need to give him a chance because his hybrid style fits better in today's NFL. Quarterbacks are being more and more mobile, and it makes more and more sense to not to have to invest as much in the offensive line if your guy can get away from the pass rush. Now, I'm not a proponent of that, but it just helps everything out, and it draws the defense in for your passing game when they know that they have to cover you running the ball. And certainly Taysom was running the ball plenty. The only real question for fantasy owners is he the starter? Because those wheels and all the touchdowns that he scores with his legs make him a fantasy darling. It's just a question of, is he the starter? That's why I'm hoping I can pick him up in the late rounds of best ball drafts, because there is some indecision there. And that would be a big fantasy boon for anybody that has him. So it's definitely a situation to monitor who's going to win that job.